Shock Monkey Radio is entertainment for adults, by adults, and the views and opinions expressed here do not reflect upon the sponsors or FXBG Public Radio. For additional information, please refer to the United States Bill of Rights. Stand warned. Someone said to me recently, you need a good punch in the mouth. And it made me think about that for a bit. I caught a couple shots to the jaw, but I was like in 1988. And I deserved to lose that fight. I lost my temper, but I never caught one like right in the mouth. Never got a split lip. Never had a reason for a good reason for a lot of dental work. I was thinking about Bert Kreischer, because he lost all his teeth in playing baseball. An aluminum bat, he was catcher, and aluminum bat caught him in the mouth and knocked out a whole bunch of his teeth. And hearing that story gave me nightmares. Plus the one where he was pooping in the shower and he's just taking it and throwing it in the toilet. Anyway, nightmare fuel. Anyway. But, I never really, I've been punched in the face, really. I caught some to the jaw, like I said, the side of the face, but never like right in the face, It's an observation. It's not an invitation, just so you know. Don't use violence against me. You're going to get hurt. I feel like Brock Sampson sometimes, Put down the firearms, boys. You don't want to shoot me. You know me. You'll know what I do to you if you do. So welcome to Shock Monkey Radio. I'm your host, the Madman, not Brock Sampson, sorry. I have a Patreon. Please go to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Become a patron today. I would appreciate that very much. Or you can send me money through Cash App. Use the hashtag shockmonkeyradio, all one word. And you can follow me on social media over here. All right. I was watching, sometimes I go, because I post videos on both like YouTube, BitChute, and Rumble. And I was looking over some of my old videos on Rumble and BitChute, and it's like every single time I get an ad when I watch on that. So here's just a little bit of advice when it comes to watching my content. If you don't want to be interrupted by ads, if you're just sick of commercials, you've been watching regular TV all day where it's like ad after ad after ad, and or you're watching something other than YouTube and where you can't even skip some of the ads, just for that little satisfaction. If you want ad-free content, Shock Monkey Radio is the place to go on YouTube, because there's going to be no ads. Every time I click on a video of mine on BitChute, I get 2 ads, and it's at least 1 ad on Rumble. And that's how they make their ad revenues, but they put it on every video. But YouTube is so caught up in this shadow banning and stuff like that, and like favoritism of certain channels over other channels and so forth. YouTube's a really weird place because it's kind of like the biggest video provider, I guess like site ever. And so there's all sorts of crazy politics and how politics has played a role in it. So there's never going to be any ads on my videos because I read the warning at the beginning. And I tell you, I do not like the idea of censoring myself. I don't like the idea that there's people out there on channels saying unalived instead of killed. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous because we all know what you mean. If a thought is offensive, and you communicate that thought, what's the point in changing the word? It's like when you do F******, you conveyed the meaning. You know what I mean? You know what they said, unless you're too dumb or too young to understand. Oh, I don't know what the F***** means. So if you want to watch uninterrupted, commercial-free entertainment, Shock Monkey Radio on YouTube is a place for you. And it's funny when I talk about like YouTube because it's one of the weirder places that I post videos, because I get different like view counts depending on Rumble, BitChute, and so forth, and different videos are popular on different sites. And the thing about YouTube is that they have all these hoops for you to jump through. You can jump through this hoop, and then it's a big, long series of hoops you got to jump through. Things you shouldn't be saying, shouldn't be talking about, how you talk about certain things, and so forth. And a lot of it is kind of based upon the idea for like that kids can access the content. But I never checked the box that said that this video is content for children. Children should not be watching this. All right, up front, that's what the warning's about, and that's why I never checked that box. I think maybe I did for the kid approved ones, where it's just me playing my singing monsters and I made a stupid song. But because my content is not all solely that, is not niche content like that, they have a hard time like placing my content anywhere other than like a blacklist, basically. You know, there's plenty of other content creators that talk about the political things that I talk about. There's plenty of other content creators that talk about movies that I talk about, do movie reviews and stuff like that. But I don't really niche in on any single one of them. That content is kind of preferred on YouTube. And you have to jump through all these hoops, hoop after hoop after hoop after hoop, just to hopefully get a yellow or a green icon to let you know that it's monetized, that you can start making money on YouTube. Fortunately, I have a Patreon. Go to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio, become a patron today. And so I just want, it's not really censorship because the videos are still out there. And thank you, YouTube, for, I mean, honestly, you should show ads on some of my stuff because of all the data you store on my show. But you don't want to. You can't find an advertiser because your advertisers don't, recommend this content. It's like, oh, he's talking, he's talking about movies. Oh, we can get behind that. And it's like, oh, he went really right wing in that second part, the second half of the show. So they can't find advertisers. They can't like sell me to advertisers. And granted, I don't have a whole lot of views, so I understand that. But also, you're not exposing me. YouTube doesn't expose me. I get more views on certain other sites for some of these videos. Anyway, so I'm never going to censor myself. That's just something I cannot do. It doesn't seem right. I mean, obviously, if I come out here and say you should go unalive somebody or some political figure or even some people of a political persuasion, if I said something like that, then you're crossing the line of the First Amendment. But generally, I'm pretty much I could say what I want, motherfucker. These fucking fascists. Oh, there I go again. Now I can't monetize. Shit. Bad words. And I'm not trying to reach kids anyway. Let's go on to this next topic here. I have friends in the 804. All right. I have friends down in Richmond ways, down in the area code 804. And so I get a strange phone call the other day. I'm on my way home. And it's from 804 number. So I figure, friend of mine from down there, they're in trouble. I'm going to pick it up. So I pick it up and it's like, hello, is Scott there? This upbeat female voice, sounds young. It's like, this is he? Yes, I was wondering if you could spare a moment to talk about the governor's race. And it's like, oh, a pollster from Richmond. Young female pollster from Richmond, probably liberal. Okay. Yes, we could talk about that. And she's like, how do you feel about this race? And it's like, who would you like to win? And I was like, well, I don't want the Democrats to win. And she goes, oh, I'm sorry. Did you say you do want the Democrats to win or you don't want the Democrats to win? I said, I don't want the Democrats to win. And then she says, oh, can you explain why you back Winsome Earle-Sears? You can pull up that picture. And this is what I said to her. Is there a reason why you back Winsome Earle-Sears? I paused for a moment and I said, ever since Charlie Kirk was murdered, it is clear to me that the entire Democratic Party is on board with drawing blood from their political enemies. They're modern Bolsheviks, they're out of control, and they need to be stopped. And she says, oh, well, we thank you for your, input on this matter, and we hope you have a nice day. You as well, I said, and hung up the phone. I wonder if she even ever heard anything like that, like any kind of response to that. I wonder, I'm also concerned that my name's on a list somewhere that Democrats have access to with my phone number on it. And that kind of concerns me. But I figure, like, if you tell them once, they'll put an R by my name and strike me off the list. And so, and everything I said was true. Ever since Charlie Kirk was murdered, assassinated for political reasons, I think most sane people in this country have realized that Democrats have really gone off to the deep end. There was a debate with Winsome Earle-Sears and Abigail Spanberger, and Abigail Spanberger, she was CIA, right? At a certain time in political time, you understand, like how corrupt the CIA was, like during the Clintons and everything. All right, don't get me started on any of that. All right, Abigail Spanberger, she was confronted by Winsome Earle-Sears in the debate talking about, what is it? We got a story later. Jay Johnson? Or is that the guy from Bob's Burgers? Am I thinking of? Hold on. What's his name? Jay Jones. Yeah. When he had a text message, saying, it was like, I want to kill all those fascists and their little fascist children or something like that. And she confronts Abigail Spanberger, and Abigail Spanberger just ignores. And because they're all complicit with this violence, this notion of violence against their enemies. It goes all the way back to Kathy Griffin holding up the severed head of Donald Trump. We don't do that. Republicans don't do that. We didn't hold up no one ever held up a severed Hillary Clinton head, or maybe, I don't know. It's been a long time since she's been in the public eye. But I mean, that's not how Republicans roll. And that's the point. We don't want to kill you. You want to kill us. We don't want to kill you. We just want you over there doing whatever it is that you want to do. We want law and order going on. And you're like, oh, we wanted. It's like we didn't really have. I think Gavin McInnes said this last night. Is that we didn't really have a problem with drag queens until you're walking into libraries flashing kids. You know what I'm saying? Now we don't like you. All right. And so I think any sane person, any Republican, should know that we need to kick these Democrats out of Virginia. Virginia needs to become a red state again. And unfortunately, it's a bunch of corrupt white liberal women like Abigail Spanberger with political ambitions, ex-CIA. I just don't trust these deeply embedded people, these career politicians. I really don't. And I think that's a big reason why Trump won both times, is because it's not like he was Senator Trump, It's not like he was Congressman Trump. It's not like he was Mayor Trump. He went straight for the top of the tower. And people say, oh, well, you don't have experience. And it's like, as far as I'm concerned, experience, like you spend a certain amount of time as a congressman, a certain amount of time as a senator, or a certain amount of time you've been doing senator and congressman stuff for 15 years. That means I think you are dripping and soaked in corruption. You're like Nancy Pelosi. It's like, oh, you insider trading and you've been dirty for a long, long time. Same with the Clintons. Same with the Obamas. I want newer blood. I want conservative blood. I want smart people. And I want people who are not going to want to kill their political opposition. Anyway, that rant went on way longer than I had to. Sorry. Be sure to vote Republican this November. What, next week? All right. And I'm very glad that I didn't have to go immediately and help some of my friends in Richmond. They're like, I'm in trouble, man. I got arrested. And it's like, I gotta turn around and go to Richmond now. So I guess that's the good news. I want to talk about Halloween for a bit. I should rephrase that. I want to talk about Friday the 13th for a bit in regards to Halloween. So I'm not getting a costume. I'm going to be working this Halloween, and I prefer it that way. I'd rather not deal with kids. So trying to get into the spirit of watching of the season, I want to watch some horror movies. I found that the Friday the 13th movies are up on YouTube for free, but they're all edited for time and content. So they're all like 90 minutes, and most of the best stuff is cut out. When I say best stuff, I mean great kills and naked women, which is kind of the best parts of the movie. So in many ways, I watched the first 4 Friday the 13th movies over the last weekend. Excuse me. And this is not going to be a movie review, but we're going to throw some stars up anyway, because I'm talking about the first 4 movies, or the franchise in general. And it's hard to if I tried to explain the plot of this, you would think I was insane. It's like, yeah, there's this kid that drowned in a lake, all right, and his mom was pissed off. And the mom was pissed off so much that whenever any kind of teenagers came up to the lake, she'd just start murdering them. Why'd she murder them? Because the 2 camp counselors that were supposed to be watching her son Jason at the lake were making love at the time that that he drowned. And so she gets really mad when she sees teenagers having sex, and so she tries to murder them. Unfortunately, she gets killed at the end of that first movie. And then in the next movie, or she gets killed at the end of that movie, and then all of a sudden the boy jumps up out of the lake, still alive. So apparently, I don't know, he's been living at the bottom of the lake. I don't know. Did he make some sort of agreement with some sort of amphibian god? I don't know. What's at the bottom of the lake? We should investigate it. We should get some scuba divers down there. See if there's some sort of great amphibian god. After all, in the next movie, he's walking on land. I'm guessing he's out of the tadpole area, and now he can walk on land. And now this Jason guy's going around murdering everybody. All right. And then finally they beat Jason, and then all of a sudden his mom pops up out of the water. Apparently she made a deal with the amphibian god at the bottom of the Crystal Lake. All right. She's got and she's got worms coming out of her and stuff. And I'm just like, what the hell's going on? EK, you've never seen these movies, right? So don't I sound like a crazy person telling this? That sounds like an Aquaman movie. All right. But in like the third movie, the mom's gone, and like is Jason back walking around again? You know, I guess his mom had to go back and do like the tadpole thing again, you know, because some amphibians, like their life cycle is really weird. They'll go back anyway. So like, I guess they're amphibians, cursed or blessed by have a boon from a amphibian god at the bottom of Crystal Lake. And I'm trying to figure out what the hell is happening in these movies. And it's because they're cut so short. They're all like 90 minutes each on YouTube for free. And it's almost like a Cliff Notes version of them. So I was able to like sit down and like watch 2 one day and then another 2 the next day. And I was like, ugh, what is going on with these movies? However, there's also some good things about them too. It's like what I like to call perv cam, right? It's something that was kind of introduced in the Friday the 13th things, where it's like you're peering around a corner, like the Jason perspective. You're watching a girl change her clothes, slip out of her panties, and he's just like peeking around a corner. That's kind of like perv cam. And I guess a lot of kids back in the 80s like that, because I don't know, peeping toms, it's not exactly a unrealistic thing. All right. And so and also you had the good formula of like the beauty of nature. You see a bunch of happy young kids, like a bunch of hot chicks in bikinis in the water, splashy, splashy, splashy. And you're just like, man, isn't life beautiful? Isn't humanity beautiful? And like, look how beautiful this naked woman is. She's going out for a midnight swim in the lake. I hope nobody comes around and murders her and ruins my whole mood. Oh! And it was funny, as I watch these movies, it's like, oh, that chick's the hottest. I bet she's going to die first. And yeah, every single time. And so they found this formula where it's like, I don't know, it's been repeated and like copied ever since. And I don't know if there's I guess maybe like Texas Chainsaw Massacre was a little like that. But I mean, it's kind of a formula that's been rehashed over and over again. And if you know how many Friday the 13th movies, because I mean, I couldn't sit here and I was like, I'm going to sit here. I watched the whole franchise like I have that much time on my hands. No, I watched up to the final chapter, assuming it would be over after that. But no, it wasn't. You know, and I think the biggest thing about these movies, because a lot of people say like horror movies had a big renaissance in the late 70s, early 80s, from like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, all that. But a real big part of Friday the 13th success, I think, is the music, the soundtrack by Henry Manfredini. And I really think that without the soundtrack, this movie would not be as good as it. This franchise would not have gone as long as it has, because I bet even the later ones used those discordant strings. Like a how can I put that? Every time those discordant strings come on, I think of a blind orchestra with perfect timing. Or no, a deaf orchestra with perfect timing, so they can still visualize the tempo, but they can't hear anyway. And then there's always the classic which was adding like a human tone to it that adds like a more fear. And it was brilliant. It was really good music. I really don't think the series would because you can sit there, is he talking about the show? It's like, no, I'm talking about the movies, because there is so much media created upon this. It was such a thing in the 80s. There was comic books. There was it was everywhere. People loved it. And like, they even make a reference to it, I think, in 3 and 4, like with like Fangora magazine, because in those kind of magazines, like after Friday the 13th came out, all of them, it's like those Fangoria magazines, they're just chock full of Friday the 13th type stuff. like how they made the Friday Jason mask and shit like that. It's a cultural phenomenon in many ways. And now we're sick of it. You know, a dozen movies? Really? How many times can you kill Jason? How many times has his mom popped up ever since the second one? I don't know. I'm looking at Eric like he knows. He doesn't like this kind of stuff. Yeah. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just I'm cynical and I could deal with it. It's like, I know those people aren't really being murdered. And I'm just like, what kind of strange amphibian god is living at the bottom of Crystal Lake that's granting wishes to these evil, evil people? To retarded boys and their dire mothers. God, I'm horrible. I did the warning at the beginning, right? I always do. Anyway, so if I had to give like star rating to the first 4 of these movies, I'd have to say it's like 5 of 13 stars. But this isn't really a review, you know. Anyway, I wasted my time. Now I wasted yours. All right, we're going to jump right back into something political. I'm sorry that this show's going to be a lot political today because a lot of conservatives have been posting stuff like these people posting about the SNAP benefits, losing SNAP benefits. And specifically, I was watching Gavin McInnes last night, like I said, and he had this one where this woman's up there. She's saying, oh, we're not going to have any money because of our SNAP benefits. We're not going to be able to buy groceries anymore. So we going to have to cop boy Thanksgiving. We're going to have to cop boy Christmas. And she really said that. I think she was trying to say boycott, but she's too stupid. You know, and people always, they're complaining. They're like, oh, we're going to lose our SNAP benefits. Well, I'm just going to go into Walmart, fill 2 carts and walk out with them. And it's like, okay, well, at least you're making the crime genuine, you know, more out in the open. Because that's what like SNAP benefits are for most cases. First of all, I want to go on the record as saying I really don't like any of these socialist programs. You know, like Medicare, Medicaid. You know, all these what they call entitlements. You know, money that we're paying in. We taxpayers are paying into the system that gets just handed out to people. And when you're talking about like 45 million people in this country who are using EBT, who are getting food stamps, there's no way all of them need that to survive. All right, especially when you have like people who work at grocery stores, they see the balances on some of these EBT cards, thousands upon thousands of dollars. It's like, number one, we're giving them way too much money. Number two, there's way too many people scamming them. And this is why I don't like socialist programs and the entitlements and so forth, is that because it steals from us. And then all of a sudden you got all these piglets lined up on teats, right? This is why I love the Doge thing, because we're to get rid of all this useless crap. It's just, federal welfare jobs. It's like, get rid of that, and just the same with like the people who are scamming scamming Medicare, Medicaid, all that stuff, scamming welfare, scamming EBT. They're just, you start pulling all these little piglets off the teat, you're going to have a lot of squealing little pigs. We got to do something for ourselves, And the problem is like there's not 45 million of them are, that many. Sure, there may be like a certain percentage, small percentage of them that actually need these kind of benefits, even though I don't think that's necessary. Because if you need food, if I needed food, there's like 10 places I'd go to before the government. Maybe it's just the conservative in me, the Republican in me, but I'd go to my family, I'd go to friends. I would go to my church. I would go to a million different charitable organizations that are in this town. A million different like fraternal orders of something or others. The fraternal orders of the Amphibian Frog King. You know what I'm saying? And so don't tell me that all of them need it to survive in the richest and fattest country in the world. And that's another thing. You see these TikTok videos. They're obese. They're obese. And then when they go shopping, they're not buying frugal items. No, we're going to buy the frozen pizza and not the pizza dough and the cheese and the sauce, which is, cheaper in the long run. We're going to buy the hamburger pad, the microwavable hamburgers pre-assembled instead of buying, hamburger buns and hamburgers. We're going to buy a bunch of Twinkies instead of milk. It's not like they're buying the best stuff. It's not like they're living the most healthy life. And it's supposed to be supplemental, nutritional, And if they're fat, assistance program. And if you're big and fat, you don't need any supplemental nutrition. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what's interesting about this government shutdown is it is shown. Let's go with shown. It has shown a big light on all these entitlement programs like SNAP and EBT. Those are the same thing. I keep saying them like they're two different things. About food stamps and welfare and stuff like that. And if we need to take a look at that because this is stuff that's coming out of our pockets. People have been whining about the national debt for, I don't know, half a century now. We're not, we're just racking up debt in the United States. Well, maybe it's because we waste money this way. That could be it. You don't have the right to anyone else's labor. That's all there is to it. When I get federal taxes taken out, and some of that money goes to feed people who are able to feed themselves but refuse to because they're lazy, they're entitled, and if they don't get their way, they're just going to rob a Walmart. They're just going to rob it. And it's like, but I know it's not too far out of your way. You're probably going to do that anyway. So I really don't care about these people, but I kind of want to do the shopping now for the family, and I want to carry a gun. Because they're threatening to say, like, you'll come out there and we'll steal your cart. And I was like, okay, well, then I'm going to start carrying a gun, and you're going to get shot for my groceries. Anyway. We'll get into this is kind of heavy. This is going to be a kind of heavy show. Sorry. Despite the curses of the amphibian frog king. Frog god. I'll figure it out. All right, let's do a movie review, an official movie review. I saw this 2007 movie live because that picture right there. That's Eva Mendes holding a .357 revolver. And I was like, that's hot. I want to watch that. And Eva Mendes is hot as expected and a little slutty in the movie. Like that a lot. She's getting up there in the years and she's still amazingly gorgeous. And so, and it still suckers me in to watch a movie that's just kind of meh. So this is a really simple premise for a movie. Basically, she's like a TV producer, but she's the one who gets pitched ideas and pitches ideas to both like producers and advertisers. And the advertisers say, okay, yeah, we'll produce a show like that. So she comes up with this idea, brilliant idea, to do a game show based upon Russian roulette, right? And so it's really kind of messed up rules where it's a 6-shooter. You select 6 contestants and you do like profiles on them and stuff like that. Tell us about yourself, your life, what's going on with you, and so forth. And then it's 1 bullet in one of the 6 chambers, closed, spun, and then one at a time they come up, click, 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 or boom, And that's the game show. But everybody who survives gets $5 million. The person who loses gets nothing. Their family gets nothing. And that's the premise for the movie. And then they go through with it. And it has the kind of the end that you'd expect with rules like that, And of course, it's a mega hit. Everyone's watching it because people, and they talk about it. It's like psychologically, people like to see public executions. Like, yeah, but this is a little bit immoral, don't you think? And it's funny because they even have conversations with the legal department. It's like, no, we can't do this. But instead, somehow they get around it and so forth. And so if I had to give this a star rating, it's a mildly entertaining. Eva Mendes is great to look at. So 7 of 13 stars. The real scary aspect of this movie is that someone pitched this idea as a game show. All right. And legal said, no, we can't do that. Or legal sent a note back. It's like, no, absolutely not. You cannot do this. This is insane. However, you could write a fictional movie about TV producers who put on a live television game show like this, and then we're free and clear legally. But if the idea started at let's do a game show based upon Russian roulette, if it started there, you need to fire that person because there are they're a sociopath or something. They're twisted. Why would you even think of that? Yeah. But legal they send a note back. It's like, but if that way they're all fictional characters and it doesn't really matter and it's all fake. Make sure you cast Eva Mendes because she's incredibly hot. I'm not the only one who thinks that. Why do you think she gets so much work when she's not that great an actress? All right, let's get to the news worth knowing. Like I said, we're getting into a lot of politics today. There it is. There's my monkey pal. Comes and goes. He comes and goes. All right, so Cuomo warns New York City will not survive Mamdani, says Democrats fighting a civil war against the far left. Well, let's find out what this ass grabber has to say. Former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo on Wednesday warned that should Zohran Mamdani be elected mayor of New York City, the Big Apple's economy will turn socialist, and detailed how the rise of the far left has sparked a quiet civil war within the Democratic Party. No, it's not that quiet. We've noticed it for a while. You ass-grabbing old person killer. Don't think we've forgotten who you are. All right. Cuomo, who's running for the New York City mayor as an independent, predicted that New York City will not survive a Mamdani administration during an appearance on Fox Business Morning with Maria on Wednesday. New York will be a socialist economy if Mamdani wins, Cuomo said when asked about his message to voters ahead of Election Day. The city will not survive that as we know it. It will not recover for a long time. Cuomo described how the rise of the radical left politicians like Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez from New York and Democratic Party has ignited what he called a civil war. The truth is, there's a quiet civil war going on between the Democratic Party right now, Cuomo said. You have an extreme left, a radical left, Bernie Sanders, AOC. Mamdani is just a banner carrier for that movement. For now, anyway, I should say. That's me adding that. He went on to say, versus the mainstream media moderate Democrats, they now call me moderate. They used to call me liberal. Now I'm moderate because the whole party has shifted. Cuomo said the so-called civil war and the future of the Democrat Party are central to the New York City mayoral election. That's what this election is all about. It's that civil war. I believe that the far left will destroy the Democrat Party, and I believe that destroy the Democrat Party nationwide if the far left becomes dominant. This is not a socialist country. We're not going to accept socialist policies. They're not anti-law and order. They're not anti-business. Cuomo said that if he's elected mayor, his top 3 priorities for New York City are safety, affordable housing, and working with businesses to bring them back to the Big Apple. All right, that's all I'm going to read of this. Here's the thing, though, Andrew. The Democrat Party has been destroyed for a long time. It's already corrupted by the far left, as you say. And you are foolish to remain with that title. After all, you could just, I'm no longer a Democrat. I'm going to be a Republican. You could do that. After all, you could drop out of the race, Andrew Cuomo. I think that Curtis Sliwa is a much better option to fix New York. I don't know if you know who Curtis Sliwa is, but he's the founder of the Guardian Angels. I don't know if you haven't ever looked up what the Guardian Angels did. They went unarmed into like subways and stuff like that and confronted gangs for the safety of New Yorkers. How many ass kickings did Curtis Sliwa endure for the sake of his beloved city? And the whole idea of people trying to get Sliwa to drop out offends me. It offends me. And I think Sliwa's even made statements to this. He's like, they're just using their money to try to force me out of the race. And they say, oh, it's better that you drop out of the race so that Andrew Cuomo wins because, well, it's a lesser of two evils. And it's like, no, we don't forget what that guy did. All right. I don't care so much about the ass grab. And apparently that stuff goes on in politics all the time. All right. I don't care about that so much as I care about the old people he killed during COVID. That's far more important and relevant. And why is he even running for anything like this again? He should be blackballed from the entire industry. He should be working at Pizza Hut. You know what I mean? So those of you who think like Curtis Lee was going to drop out, I kind of hope he doesn't. Because he's a big fat red middle finger to all of New Yorkers. And I hope that everyone who votes for both for both Cuomo and Sliwa that if Mamdani wins, you get the hell out of the city because it's going to be lawless. And Cuomo's right. Cuomo's right. All right. Unfortunately, the Democrats have always been socialist, jackass. They have always been socialists. It's just that these quote unquote far left people are taking everything to their logical conclusion. Everything to the logical conclusion, which we are socialists, we are pro-jihadi, we hate Jewish people, and we want to kill everyone that doesn't agree with us. You know what that sounds like? That sounds like Islamic terrorists, like Zohran Mamdani. New York was once a beautiful city, and it can be again, if only people get serious about it. And even if Cuomo wins, do you think that he is going to clean up the city, or is just going to keep hiring more immigrants to become cops? People who barely speak English trying to arrest Americans in the street. But Cuomo might say, oh, but you don't understand. It's like half the population of New York City is immigrants that don't speak English. It's like, I know. Why don't we kick them the fuck out? All right. This story will cheer me up a little bit, because join the Navy, my friends. Join the Navy. So Trump's war on drugs stops at the Mexican border for now. Maritime raids and Caribbean force traffickers to adapt land and sea routes. Somewhere off the coast of Venezuela, the U.S. Navy radar lock. I love the way this story opens. Somewhere off the coast of Venezuela, a U.S. Navy radar locks onto a fast-moving vessel skimming through the Caribbean. I would have said Sargasso Sea. The ship, believed to be carrying cocaine bound for the United States, is one of dozens targeted under Washington's revived maritime counter-narcotics campaign, a series of deadly interdictions that have brought the U.S. military's battlefront back to the Western Hemisphere. But as the U.S. clamps down at sea, cartels are already adapting. They're going to try to stay alive by moving cargo on aircraft, said Brett Sandler, a fellow senior at the Heritage Foundation and former Navy officer. I can't talk like that forever. But it's more expensive and you can't move as much by volume, so it's going to hurt their business model. Good. Sadler said the shift would now shows how U.S. pressure on maritime smuggling routes is forcing traffickers to find new ways to move their product and new vulnerabilities for Washington to exploit. Yet just across the Gulf of America, wink, wink, where nearly all of America's fentanyl supply originates, the U.S. military presence fades into silence. There are no naval raids off of Mexican ports, no drone strikes on cartel compounds, no talk of narco targets inside Mexican territory. The fight stops there, by design. A 2024 Drug Enforcement Administration report found that nearly all methamphetamine sold in the United States today are manufactured in Mexico, and which is purer and more potent than years past. U.S. Customs and Border Protection reported seizing 27,275 pounds of fentanyl along the U.S.-Mexico border in 2023. Border Patrol agents reported the lowest number of apprehensions in fiscal year 2025 since 1970 at 283,000. China remains the key source of the precursor chemicals for fentanyl and methamphetamine, but Mexico serves as the main production and trafficking base. Exports from Venezuela and neighboring Colombia are still dominated by cocaine, because they have the more jungle down there. Better environment for the coca leaves. Anyway, here's the last one I want to read. So once you go on land, now you got sovereignty issues, collateral damage, all kinds of complications. He argues that the U.S. should focus on where its legal footing is strongest, at sea and in international airspace, cutting off cartels' finances and trade routes. That's right. The cartels will collapse under their own weight if their money supply is cut off. Yeah. This is brilliant. Absolutely use the Navy to do that. Absolutely. And it's good that you're in international waters and in international airspace, because I think maritime law applies there. And all of you sovereign citizens out there, you should understand that a lot of what you believe is law is actually maritime law. And if our roads operated that way, you'd be shot during road rage incidents anyway, legally, and it'd be okay. Anyway, so that's good stuff. I wish our military would do more stuff domestically. I know they're not supposed to, but I always thought about the Toys for Tots program, how the Marine Corps, in peacetime, that should charitable organizations, have them work in charitable organizations, Or, you know, get a bunch of like naval officers or Air Force reservists, you know, get them together and have them go through the books and like SNAP benefits, who might be scamming welfare, who might be scamming EBT, you know, just start going through the books. It's like, this guy's perfectly physically able to work. He just never gets a job. You know, have them investigate people, come to knock on their door. Hey, over X amount of dollars is coming to you from the government. We just wanted to check to make sure everyone's really disabled here. Okay, yeah, you got to run and get your wheelchair. All right, blow the dust off it. All right. All right, let's go to this next story. Virginia needs to become a red state again. Vote these murderers out. I kind of said that earlier. So I guess we'll go through this one quickly because I guess I covered part of this in the rant. Democrats poured more than $1 million into J. Jones' campaign since the dueling scandals broke, disclosures show. Virginia Democratic Attorney General J. Jones's campaign continued to take in major donations from Democrat and Democrat-aligned PACs, even after it revealed it had visioned the murder of a Republican leader and his family while his reckless driving case remains under further investigation. I don't know how that's relevant. People speed, you know what I'm saying? Lawmakers and civilians alike. The Virginia Public Access Project, VPAP, painstakingly publishes donor names, accounts, lawmakers, biographies, bills, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, he's still raking in money, even though he said that he's going to kill people. He wants to kill Republicans and their kids. And I guess I covered most of this in the rant earlier, but I mean, it shows that, you know, these organizations that are giving him money are okay with that too. And, you know, and that's just the general feeling. It's like I told that pollster. You're out of control. You're crazy and you have bloodlust. Ooh. All right. Next story. Did I skip one or I'm good? Yeah, I think I'm good. All right. Is the next one DC, Bloody Blue Crime Wave? Okay. Bloody Blue City Crime Wave shatters college homecoming in one of this year's most violent stretches, a report. So the nation's capital, not far from us, ladies and gentlemen, saw one of its most violent weekends of the year after 12 people were shot across the city in over a span of just 9 hours, police said. The violence in Washington, D.C. began on Friday around 5:30 p.m. after a teenage girl was shot southeast Yuma Street, Fox 5 reported. Just 15 minutes later, a teenage boy was reportedly struck by a bullet on 50th Street. 2 hours later, a man was shot on 16th Street in the northwest area of the city. At 8:18 p.m., a 5-year-old boy's face was grazed by a bullet while on Savannah Terrace in Southeast, according to Fox 5. The violence continued just minutes later when 3 men, 1 woman, and a teenage boy were shot just steps from Howard University's campus as the school was hosting a homecoming event. While none of the victims were students at the school, one individual was reportedly enrolled at Maryland's Morgan State. Police arrested 2 19-year-old suspects and recovered 3 guns in connection with the shooting at the university, according to Fox 5. However, authorities said more individuals may have been involved. As the night continued, 2 men were reportedly shot on Benning Road in the city's northeast area. Hours later, on Saturday morning, another man was critically injured after being shot on Hyatt Place in Northwest. The carnage comes as President Donald Trump has continued to deploy the National Guard throughout the city in an effort to curb instances of violent crime plaguing residents throughout the nation's capital. Police are continuing to search for suspects connected to each shooting, with the weekend making one of the most crime-ridden stretches since the year began. The Metropolitan Police Department did not immediately respond, blah, blah, blah. All right, so yeah, I wonder if like the National Guard like drew down recently and now they're giving public more leeway. And as soon as it like lightened up a bit, it just all came out and like returning to the grudges. What do they call it? Ops. Returning to the ops. Idiots. Oh, around Howard University. What a strange coincidence. You know, this is a mess. It's a mess. Anyway, let's get to 2 happier stories and then we'll get out of here. Leave here with a smile. So, I don't know. I think the era of ring cams has created a different type of person in this world. Because any other time, you know, before like ring cams, you'd have to open your door to find out who is that, and then they'd mess with you in a very personal way. It's like, who are you? You know. So anyway, so creepy costume figures on a family's porch turned out to be relatives. There was a video associated with this. I thought about downloading it, but it was like 12 minutes long because they took forever waiting for You recognize my voice. I know you recognize my voice, kind of thing. Anyway, so October 27th from UPI, a trio of creepy costume figures were caught on a Virginia family's doorbell camera, sparked a police investigation, but the incident turned out to be a prank perpetrated by family members. The Alexandria Police Department opened an investigation into potential attempted burglary plot after the three figures, dressed in creepy Halloween costumes, were recorded by a local family's doorbell camera when they approached the front door. The department issued an appeal for information October 17th and asked nearby residents to check their own security camera footage for any sightings of the suspects. Alexandria Police Chief Tarek McGuire said investigators have now determined that 3 people were teenage boys related to the home's residents. The teens had been assisted by 3 adult family members and another child. For me, my team, in this community, it represents a moral failure. WJLA-TV quoted McGuire saying at Monday morning news conference, a moral failure where consequences could result in deadly consequences. I heartily disagree. Anyway, let's keep reading. He said the prank may have seemed harmless, but it could have led to a serious consequence. He said the home's residents, afraid of a potential burglary or violent crime, had contacted another relative who came to the house with a gun. These are not pranks just to be taken lightly. This is a very serious incident, McGuire said. I hope this is a lesson learned, not just for a particular family, but for anyone in the community during the holiday season. No charges are being filed in relation to the investigation. You want to press charges on your family? No, I don't. This is hilarious. And before there are Ring cameras, you'd have to at least have a conversation like a loud conversation through the door, where you couldn't really hide like a fake voice, or you just mess with somebody personally, like I know something deep about you, so you're going to open the door and be like, oh, Tom, man, you freaked me out, But now we're all just with our phones behind the Ring cam with the door locked, calling the cops on your other phone, watching, who are these people? And they're just like saying, because they're talking through the cameras, like, who are you? And they're messing with them. They're making jokes. They're laughing. And you're like, I'm going to call the cops. Really? Really? And then the cop comes out and says, hey, you can't do this because, you could get shot. It's fucking Halloween, man. Oh, we only put up with that on October 31st. Get out of town, man. How long have the pumpkin spice lattes been around? Anyway. Oh, 'tis the season, right? All right, let's go to this last story. I swear I had nothing to do with this. New Jersey police blame hoax monkey sightings on AI generated images. On October 24th, this is from UPI, police in New Jersey said reports of monkeys on the loose in Newark are social media hoax perpetuated by photos and videos that appear to be AI generated. Newark Public Safety Director Emmanuel Miranda said police received a report of wild monkeys on the loose at the Georgia King Village on Thursday morning, one day after local animal control received similar reports of monkeys on the streets of Newark. Police searched the area of reported sightings but found no signs of non-human primate activity. just the usual barrel of monkeys. Miranda, what'd you say? You said nice? Miranda said the reports are now believed to be a result of a hoax. Officers have not located any monkeys. Miranda told WPIX TV any photos or videos posted on social media regarding this incident were likely AI generated. I know Matt Walsh has been on a tear lately about AI and so forth, and I think he does have a point. But I find stuff like this to be hilarious. It's even like when fake AI videos of people come out, I find that to be hilarious too. But I mean, if it's going to spin up like the police department and people are going to start like locking their doors, there's monkeys on the loose in Newark, New Jersey. And I don't know, that I guess creates a little bit of public panic. It's a waste of the government, tax dollar to have cops running around looking for fictional monkeys. And so I don't know. I think Matt Walsh does have a point, but I'm going to enjoy it while it lasts, because it's a silly world we live in, and AI has kind of made it all a little sillier, So, you got to laugh to keep from crying, right, ladies and gentlemen? Anyway, this is going to be the end of the show. I want to remind you again that I have a Patreon. Go to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Become a patron today. I'd appreciate that very much. Or you can send me money through Cash App. Use the hashtag shockmonkeyradio, all one word. It's all smashed together. You can follow me on social media at DNALETSAW. That's the word wasteland spelled backwards. on Twitter, at SLRobbins13 on Instagram, and Shock Monkey Radio Redux on Facebook. This has been Shock Monkey Radio. I'm the Madman, and I love you.
Shock Monkey Radio. Feel the static, let it go. Monkey Radio. Twist the dial and lose control.
This has been Shock Monkey Radio. I'm the Madman, and I love you.